Our dear guests, welcome back. So tonight, as I mentioned, we have a special guest from Turkey. We have Elbruz Aksoy. To talk about Elbruz Aksoy, he was born in a big family in Samsun, in Turkey, in 1978. Elbruz has moved to Istanbul to attain his political sciences and international relationships from the University of Marmara, and then he moved back and he has traveled in Turkey and around Turkey and all over the world to collect the oral history and studies and memories from the Circassians' heritage, and he has written a book in Turkish called Benim Adım 1164. Elbruz is named after the mountain Elbruz, which is located in the Caucasus. Would you like to talk about, to introduce yourself to the audience?
First of all, thanks for your invitation. Hope tonight we can have a good time together. I was born in Samsun in 1978 in a crowded family, in a Circassian family, and I've spent like almost 18 years in my life there in the north of Turkey. It's close to the Caucasian side of Turkey, let's say. It's one of the biggest cities in the north of Turkey. I studied my high school and college there, and then after the college, I passed the university exams and I moved to Istanbul. And since 1999, I've been living in Istanbul. I was growing with my grandmother, my lineage there in the city center, in the heart of the city. We were having a crowded family, and our environment was full of the Circassians and all around us. And I was not growing in the village like most of the others, but even in the city we were all together. So this was a very big chance for me. After high school, I started my university days in Istanbul in Marmara University, Political Science and International Relations faculty. And actually, everything started at the university, let's say, our journey. My mom and dad were teachers, and for us, one of the most important is to read and learn and get more and more knowledge. This was in our life. It was the center of our life. We had a big library in the house, and we would get used to the books. And for us, this was so important. So when I started my university days, actually, I was also started focusing on the things that for us was special, which was the Circassian issue. So my journey started actually at the university days.
You were living in Samsun actually, and somehow, the living in the Samsun community, the Circassian community, has influenced you to becoming what you are today. Would you like to tell us about this?
Yes, actually, Samsun is known as one of the biggest Circassian population in Turkey, like Kayseri, Balıkesir, Düzce. Samsun was 4 of these big cities, which still has a big Circassian population. In the days of the exile in 1860s, the Ottomans established around 100 villages just around Samsun. Imagine, 100 Circassian villages were established during those days. So there was a big population of Circassians even at the city center in the days of 1980s when I was in the primary schools. And I was lucky that my family was so much in contact with the Jamia Sharkisiya there in the Samsun. It was actually one of the oldest, which was established in the 1960s, and which was important there because we were living in the city center, and thanks God we had this Circassian Foundation, and my family was in contact, and I was grown up within the society. So for me, this was a very big chance. Even in the days of 1980s, there were people thinking about turning back to Caucasus. They were thinking about how to let's say, how to be a Circassian, even living in this society, but still being a Circassian. How could it be? People were thinking about it, and how you can defend yourself against the assimilation policies of the government, and etc. So I was so lucky that I was within all these people.
So, Elbruz, after graduation from school, you moved to Istanbul.
Yes, sure.
What were the aims that you were trying to follow by your move to Istanbul?
Actually, I was planning to be outside Turkey. And for me, university was one of the doors that I could be out of the country. And I was studying in political science and international relations faculty. So this was like for me a chance. And actually this happened. But when I got in university and from the first lectures, it was Introduction to Humanities. I met my professor, and with the help of her assistants, I started writing my essays. It was related to the Circassian assimilation in the Turkish Republican times. And until now, I started having vacations here and there inside Turkey, visiting old people and gathering their memories related to their childhood, or memories which goes back to the days of exile, which they heard from their grandfathers and grandmothers. So actually, Istanbul was a center. Well, for me, it was a center that I could find many people and memories. So I was started gathering all these memories by myself. It was a very big chance for me. It was the first time I started in 1996.
I understand. That's great. But also, would you tell us about the years of your study in the Marmara, Istanbul, and then the Marmara University in Istanbul, where you were studying the political sciences? How was it?
In 1996, yes, I was in the faculty and we were studying science, international relations. But actually, I was always focusing on our main issues, like the Circassian assimilation or Circassian language problems or Circassian identity problems, or we were questioning the days of Ottoman Empire, the relations between Circassians and the palace, the Ottoman palace, and we were actually checking which one was better, the days of the Ottoman Empire or after the 1923 revolution. I mean, what happened to the Circassians, how they affected, and today how we came to this position, this point. We were always questioning and discussing with the friends around me at the university. This was very useful, actually. I was also lucky because in Istanbul, in the days of 1996, there were many, more than 3 or 4 big foundations. There was one big library. So whatever you were looking for, you could easily find. Even the library is there. So we were lucky, and we were in this environment. And I thought I was doing something correct of running after the memories. So everything started like this, let's say.
And I would like to congratulate you for the release of your new book. It's called Beni Madem, yeah? And it's the translation. My name is 1864.
My name is 1864. Yes.
What brought the name?
Yes. The name, it's like my name is 1864. Actually, when the book was ready, we were discussing the name of the book because the publishing center was asking me, what was your idea? And I didn't know what to say because it was really hard, because inside the book, there were different 17 stories, or we collected from the memories of our history after 1864, what we have suffered, what we have faced during the Ottoman Empire and the aftermath. what we have suffered, I gathered all the memories and I've chosen 17 ones, and we put it in a chronological way, starting from the days in the Caucasus, the Circassian genocide and exile, and continues. And the last story was related to the Syrian civil war, how the Circassians also affected from the civil war. So it was like 17 different stories. And I was questioning what could be the name of the book. The publishing center told me you could easily choose one of the stories and put the same name to the book. I said, no, can we do like that? Because for us, 1864 was the day of a very important cornerstone in our history, probably one of the most important year in our history. So this was our symbol of the genocide, symbol of the massacres, symbol of the exile. So this was very important. That's why I wanted to put 1864 at the top of the book. And then I said, okay, because we have 1864 done, so we were having these stories. We had all these process in the lands of we have no background, like in Middle East or in Turkey, before we never been here. So after that, we agreed on the name of the book that my name is 1864 because I am the son of 1864 and you are one of them, whether we are living in the other countries, but we all are the sons and daughters of 1864. So that's why we chose this name.
Yes, correct. As descendants from the Caucasus, definitely our grandfathers and who has moved out of the Caucasus, definitely this date has to be remembered and memorized for sure. For the writing of this book and for the collecting of these memories that you have been able to write down, and you had to travel all the way out of Turkey and even sometimes within Turkey, around Turkey. So what were the cities, what were the countries that you have visited in order to achieve this tremendous effort that you've done?
As I told you, I started everything in Samsun because my family was there, my relatives, and my environment was in Samsun. So I started my whole history research at the city center, and then I've continued with the village around the city. And then there were some neighborhood cities like Sinop, Amasya, Çorum, Tokat. I continued like that. I was always going one person to another because whenever I was making some interviews with a man or a woman, I was asking, you know anybody else that also could talk to me and we could make some interviews? And with the help of the others, I was going to knock the other door, and the door opened the other door. It continued like that. And then we made interviews in Ankara, Istanbul, and then Kayseri, Adana. In 4 years, I visited many of the cities where Circassians were living. And after that, I thought I should also be going out of the Turkey to Middle East, where also a huge amount of Circassians were living. And then I visited Jordan in 1999. It was my first visit. I was abroad, and it was Jordan. I was so lucky. And then I visited Israel, and then after 3 years, I've been in Syria. I was gathering stories even there. So in this book, let's say half of the stories were from Turkey, but half of the stories were from Jordan, Syria, and Israel. This is how we did, actually.
Yes, I understand. So if you could tell me what were the challenges you faced during this period where you were collecting memories and then writing them down on the book?
Yes. The hardest was that the old people, the Hamate and these type of people, they were not ready to talk. They were not willing to talk about their memories. They always prefer to be silent. I've seen in their eyes that there happened so many things. It was so clear, and I heard, but it was so hard them to talk about it. It was somehow, even they were saying to me that, no, this is Hainap and no need to talk. Forget, these days passed. Okay, these hard days passed, but we as the new generation, the coming ones, we should have learned that what happened in your back, what happened in the last 80 years, in the last 100 years. People were not willing to talk. And when I suffered so much, I said, okay, let's start from the beginning that, okay, I'm going to the door which I know so they can talk to me friendly. And then I was going to another people that also know my friend or my friend's relative or my relative's friend. So I was trying to pass these hardness through the relations that I already had before. But after that, they were getting more freely to talk. I mean, I started in 1996 and I finished 2015. Especially after 2000, people were more willing to talk. And I suffered actually. At the beginning, I suffered so much.
Yeah, I understand. It's pretty hard to do that task, definitely. And you know, as you mentioned, the challenges were to approach the right people and how, in a way, enforce them to give you this information that is could be a family heritage as well, but also it's a nation's heritage. And so we thank all of those who contributed to writing of this book and to help you to gather this information. Going back to just let's say a few seconds ago, you mentioned that you've been here in Jordan, and would you like to tell us about this experience?
Yes, it was a great experience. There is one foundation in Istanbul, in the heart of Istanbul, in the Anatolian side, Shamil Vakfı. This was one of the oldest foundations in Turkey. There was one woman, Miss Rengin Yurdakul. I remember the day I went to her, I said, Miss Rengin Yurdakul, I really want to go to Jordan and I wanted to make some interviews with the people who had stories and memories. Can you help me? I asked like this, and she didn't know me so much. Yeah, maybe we met twice or three times. She said, why not? I knew one woman. She got married in 1940s, and then she's been living there more than 60 years. She said, let me talk. And she called, and she explained that who am I and what I want to do. And she immediately told us, okay, send him to me. And that was so easy. I remember the day after 3 days, I was inside the airplane. I was flying to Amman. And before one day, I called her. I asked, can I have your address because I don't know how to come to your house. And she told me, it's better I will give you my husband's name. When you tell this to any of the taxi drivers around the airport, they could easily bring you. I said, okay, as you say. And then I remember I left the airport. I got in the taxi. I told them, please, can you know this name of the place? They said, what's, Fawaz Pasha? He said, yes, we know. And I got the taxi and we went to the house. Her name was Miss Resmiye Hanım. Yes, she was so friendly. I was her guest there in her house. She had a big house. And she introduced me to the rest of the people that she know that they could help me. The people are in the government or around the government or had some good position in Jordan, in Amman. So I stayed around 40 days in Amman, and this was my first visit. And thanks to Ms. Resmiye and Allah yarhamu, she did so fine for me, and we never met before. Imagine the link that I was talking about. One phone from Istanbul opened me a huge door in Amman, and I stayed 40 days. Yes, and by coincidence, just a week ago, I met another artist, Zaina Al-Saidi, here in Istanbul, in one of the gatherings. And I was talking to her that, yeah, I was in Jordan in 1999, and it was so fantastic. I met so nice people, and I stayed in a very nice people's house, and she was so friendly. And I explaining that she also got married in 1940s. She said, really, what was her name? I said, it was Resmiye Hanım. She said, Resmiye? That she was my grandmother. Yes, this was such a big coincidence. We were all shocked. Yes, Resmiye Hanım's granddaughter, came to Turkey maybe after how many years, like let's say 18 years. And by coincidence, we met. I said, the world is really so small, especially for us, it was so small. So my first visit, it was Jordan, and I gathered really interesting stories. And inside the book, there is one story named Wadi Rum. I wish one day this book can be in English and the guys in Jordan can also read it. Because the Turkish people who read the book, the society, they said, oh my God, we would like to go and see a Wadi Rum and read the book and there. It was fantastic. It was nice for me.
Well, I have to mention that Zaina Said is one of the famous artists that, she's a visual artist, definitely. And we had her previously in a previous season of a show. Elbruz, I would like to know, and probably the viewers as well, what are the future plans
Yeah.
next?
Actually, this book was an unexpected, this book did an unexpected effect, especially in the society, within the young society, young generation of the Circassian society. Now this book, almost 7 months passed and did the fourth edition. Now the selling ones are the fourth edition of the series. So people, they would like to read and continue sending me messages through social media or calling me, and everybody was asking the same question. This book was very fine. Okay, we got it, but what's next? And I was starting the same question. Okay, what we could do more? What could be the next? Hope one day this book can be in English or in Arabic or Russian. Okay, but what could be the next? So we were discussing with my friends, and we said, okay, let's focus more about the memory of our nation, which we're trying to live in the diaspora more than 155 years. So we established a center, 1864 Memory Center in the heart of Istanbul. And we are trying to collect and save and record the memory that what left within these 155 years. And now we have two projects. One is that we are going to prepare a book for the 155th anniversary of the exile, which will be in 2019. And in this book, we are going to ask 155 authors to write their memories or stories or the people that affect them so much in 3 pages. And this will be a little bit bigger book, but it will be all our collected stories from Jordan, Syria, Israel, and Turkey, diaspora stories. Hope this could be a nice book for the next year in 2019. In addition to this, we're going to have a photo exhibition in Istanbul during the May 2019. And now we already started taking photos, black and white, and we are asking the Circassians to give us a look that reminds you the exile, the genocide, the massacres. Give us a look of being half, being not complete, being between two places like the motherland and the country you are living. We are telling them, please give us a look. Now we almost took around 250 photos, was excellent. And people are really interested in, they keep calling, and we are coming together. Around 15 different photographers are running after this big project, because we are, at the end, we are going to expose 1,864 look. So now we mostly focus on this 1864 Memory Center. Hope we can make more other projects all together, all around diaspora.
These are definitely very, very comprehensive and very important two projects that you've mentioned. And we will be very delighted to see that next year, 2019, where the 155th anniversary for the genocide of the Circassian people.
Yes.
Thank you very much, Elbruz, for your time and for your efforts.
Thank you so much.
Definitely belongs to the Circassian literature and heritage. The stories that were depicted here reflect the period from the exile to the current days. We hope that we will see other publications and in other languages as well, so that everybody can have access to these books and could read the vital information and the important information that is written here. Elbruz, I would love to see you again. And
see you. Thank you so much.
To see you here in Jordan, definitely.
Hope to see you in Jordan.
Yes, where you will be in the next journey, writing another fabulous book like the one you did.
I hope so. Thank you so much, Nart. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good night.
Dear guests, dear viewers of Live With, I hope that you were able to be with us. And I see that there are some comments here from our friends, Art Buzuk, Ibrahim, Rashid Ishaqat, Walla Ilyas, all of them, Yashar, Marihan Abzak, and all of you who watched us tonight. Thank you very much. And we hope to see you next week with another guest. So stay tuned, and we will meet again.